Well, hello, hello. Oh, welcome back to the Diligent Woman. It is a blustery Wednesday here in southern Indiana. The beautiful sun that we got yesterday is all covered up today. It is just nothing but clouds. Oh, hang on a second. Thank you, Bernie. Thank you. Okay, so sent my daughter out to pick the mail and didn't tell her I was starting to record. So, welcome to life with everybody at home all the time. Oh, that wasn't mine. Okay. Oh, yeah. Christmas makes it very dangerous around here trying to open presents and things or packages because you got to double check everybody's names that show up. Okay. So, how is your Wednesday going? I really hope that you are being productive, but at peace and being able to enjoy every day as it comes through. I'll tell you, this has been one of the biggies for me as we have, this is our third year on the homestead, and having to interact with so many animals on a regular basis is a new thing. City girl before, dogs and cats is pretty much it. But having to get up and go take care of the creatures that we've decided to put in our care who rely on us to be consistent, to make sure that they're okay. And it really changes my perspective on valuing trying to take care of them. I mean, I was trudging through, I have a very overgrown hill above my garden space and lots of very sticky, sticky things, lots of burdock and pokeweed and all this stuff that gets really tall, taller than me. But it's all drying up and it all pulls out very easily, but it's very thick, kind of its own forest. I had one little bantam chicken that she had gotten chased out of the fence by the other big chickens. And she was just hovering down in there and kind of put herself in a little well. And I was worried about leaving her because it's going to get cold in the next couple of days. And I wasn't 100% certain that she would work her way back by herself. So I went trudging through all of that just to get this one little bitty chicken who does not, and she gives an egg every now and then. She does not exist on our farm to give me eggs and to be productive. She was company for another chick that was hatched alone when all the other eggs did not hatch. And she and her fellow bantams were just to give company to another chicken and stuff. And but still, I was glad to go out and help her. I was concerned about her. I wanted to get her put up and appreciated the effort that God created in that natural cycle of things. It's just amazing to me. How much of all of that was set in motion that's just a part of our natural lives. But even now, just interacting with that, how all of it points me back to him and his care. I mean, if he knows about every sparrow, I know about my about 40-ish, chickens. But if God knows about every single sparrow that falls, that means that, and he reminds me of that because that means how well he knows me. It just helps. It's a good reminder for me that care and keeping is there for me. So anyway, it has nothing to do with reading through the book of Matthew's account of Jesus first, but it does have a connection to Jesus being the same yesterday, today, and forever. Because all in all, our reactions are going to be the same. You're either going to respond with gratitude and appreciation and reaching out towards him, or you're going to reject him. It's really kind of the choices. And in the story of his birth, we see a little bit of both, right? Even before he is active, even before he is an adult doing anything, just his birth caused a lot of different reactions, but they end up being the same reactions that people choose over and over again. They will either be with him or working against him. So let's finish up the account in Matthew chapter 2. Today's writing is from Matthew chapter 2, 19 through 23. And we're just going to read that. And again, write it. And if you've been writing all along, now you've compiled all of this chapter 2 story together, and you're seeing the continuity of um, emphasis on what God focused on in letting the story be told in this telling. So Matthew 2, verses 19 through 23. But when Herod died, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt, saying, Get up, take the child and his mother, and go into the land of Israel, for those who sought the child's life are dead. So Joseph got up, took the child and his mother, and came into the land of Israel. But when he heard that Archelaus was reigning over Judea in place of his father Herod, he was afraid to go there. Then, after being warned by God in a dream, he departed for the district of Galilee and came and lived in a city called Nazareth, so that what was spoken through the prophets would be fulfilled. He shall be called a Nazarene. So, our reading yesterday was Joseph being given a dream to warn him to take the baby and Mary to Egypt. And there was a promise made that they needed to stay there until I tell you. The angel said, you go and you stay until I tell you. And notice how God didn't forget. God didn't forget Joseph and Mary down in Egypt. And he comes, and when Herod has died, angel of the Lord appears in a dream to Joseph in Egypt. And he tells him it's safe to go home, that those seeking the child's life are dead. Now, I don't know why Joseph was uncertain about Herod's son, that he was afraid. And I think you have to assume that he inquired of God about this, because God doesn't just leave it at the first message. He now gives him a second and tells him, not to go to Bethlehem, but to go back up to Galilee, go to Nazareth. Now they're going to stay in Nazareth. And it says specifically that this is to fulfill the prophets that said he shall be called a Nazarene. There's a lot of conversation about that, trying to put that together with the Nazarite vow. But there's really no reason to make that correlation. God says right here why he was called a Nazarene. And it was because he was going to come from Nazareth, the town of Nazareth. Plain and simple. And nice, God made that clear. Pardon the yawning. Once again, not breathing good. So what have we been told? In this context, we are showing God's faithfulness, because at this point, Jesus is functioning as an infant. But the prophecies, the word from before, is his, right? And they're prophesying about Jesus. And his function, even as an infant, is consistent with the word that is given about him in the Old Testament, making those prophecies true. His connection is still true. And God's care in sending this messenger to Joseph to let them know it's time to come home. I mean, it's not like they had email, and they would have had ways to communicate once the kings were, and it probably would have been known once a leader of an area was, if he died and things changed hands and those kind of things, it probably would have gotten spread around. But God didn't wait for Joseph to find it out through the political chains. He made sure and let him know that not only is Herod dead, but it's safe to go home. It is safe to return. So God always taking care and being thorough to finish what he started. He didn't just send Joseph and let Joseph have to figure it out and you decide when to come home. God finished that. Okay, You would think. I was hoping. I was really hoping that at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the yawning would stop. So there's something connected with the talking and the reading that is triggering the yawning. So that's a health thing that I need to think about and figure that one figure out what causes that. But anyway, that's just that is I wasn't yawning at all. I've been sitting here at my computer for hours, no yawning. But I start reading out loud, I start talking, I start yawning. Go figure. Okay. So that's where our reading leaves us today. Tomorrow there is one verse to read that's going to kind of connect things together, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. Before we jump into Luke's, the author that is called Luke, um, is we'll go look at that telling of the birth of Jesus, which is going to be more from Mary's perspective and deal with how things impacted her. This one focuses on Joseph, father, and a lot of times I think we neglect Joseph. There are a lot of men in Scripture that I just think kind of get overlooked because either their stories are short or because God doesn't refer to them again specifically, we don't give them any more attention. But God mentioned them in the first place. So, and this is the man who raised Jesus. This is the man who agreed to be in this relationship with this unusual circumstance, with this unusual child, to deal with the ramifications of continuing to have other children and having to answer questions about this one. There's lots of aspects to this that shows him to be a very good man, a godly man, and that he did a good job taking care of Mary. Even though we're not told anything after these events are done, we're not told anything else about him. After, there's the going when Jesus is 12. There's some interaction with him there, but really the focus is on Mary because his parents were worried about him, and Joseph's there, but there's not a conversation just with Joseph and him. So this is the glimpse that we're given of Joseph, and in the times when these things are happening, options that were available to him for him to act the way that he is and to be this consistently obedient, to be one who hears the voice of God and reacts. He doesn't run away from it. He doesn't deny it. He just does what he's told. And that is a refreshing and encouraging thing. I wonder if we do the same. If when we open God's word and we read it and it speaks to us, it hits the nail on the head. It gets our attention. It's the thing we needed to read today, even though we didn't need it. Do we heed it the same way that Joseph did here? So tomorrow we will look at day 11, and that'll be our last verse that we will read in the book of Matthew. And Lord willing, we will continue from there. Questions about the birth of Christ do you have so far? Connections are you making to our other verses that we wrote earlier in the month? To those things about him being in the beginning and being the Word and the Word being God. And now this picture of him fulfilling the very word that he sent and provided in the Old Testament. Tell me what kind of connections that's making for you. I would love to hear about that in the comments here below the video. And let's talk about it. And Lord willing, tomorrow I'll see you again for day 11.